Okay, welcome back. As promised, we are going back out to Tom.
Yep, Tom's back in his happy place, a museum.
Yep.
Tom?
Absolutely. Hey, I need to clear something up. The NRA Firearms Museum is in Fairfax, Virginia. This is the NRA Sporting Arms Museum. So if you look up Firearms Museum, it may take you somewhere else. Anyway, I've got Pete with me again. And Pete, a little bit earlier, we talked about the different types of weapons and the appeal of this museum. Where does it rank as far as, the people who come and see what you have to offer here?
So we actually see more visitors in the NRA Museum in Fairfax, Virginia.
Really?
Since we've opened in 2013, we've had over 2,000 guests come through this museum. It's a wonderful attraction. It's free. It's just part of the store, and we get a lot of tourists here anyways.
2 million guests.
2 million guests since we opened. That's correct.
A lot of people have come through here. And earlier we were talking about one-of-a-kind pieces, historic pieces. This is a beauty that we're standing right by. Tell us about this piece.
So this is the world's first repeating firearm. It fires similar to a Roman candle as long as it's loaded properly. And once it's fired, it has 3 trigger positions. The first trigger position, when you pull it, it'll fire 9 shots in succession. And so again, kind of like a Roman candle. The second trigger position, 6 more, and then it had 1 in reserve. But again, the technology was invented in 1580, and that's just kind of amazing to me.
Well, it is, but it also, to the uninitiated, this seems like you start pulling the trigger, you hang on and go for the ride, basically is the way it goes.
Very much so.
Let's go over here. Let's walk this way because there are some other historic pieces right over here, and these are pieces that were owned by some of the lawmen of history.
So again, we have themed cases throughout the museum. This one is Famous Lawmen. It features a gentleman by the name of Bass Reeves. He was the first African-American marshal west of the Mississippi. Very interesting guy. Actually had to arrest his son on one occasion. He infiltrated a gang through kind of getting to know the mother of the house.
Right.
Stayed, and then when he went to bed with the gang, 3 of them woke up in handcuffs and were taken to jail. Really, really neat guy, but these firearms were his, and then, of course, other lawmen from history as well.
There's a famous name, John Wesley Harden, as well.
And these other handguns are tied to him through court cases or people that were involved in his situation.
Now, I want to take a look at one other that's over here. If we can take a look. Now, some of these are prototype Colts that you've seen and heard about throughout history, but this is the one that caught my eye because this is like putting a cannon on your shoulder.
So these are designed for big game hunting, and the thing that's kind of amazing about this is everyone's familiar with what a .22 rifle feels like, the recoil that they feel when they pull the trigger.
Right.
Well, that's about 150 pounds of pressure on your shoulder.
Okay.
When you get to fire something like this 700 Nitro Express, it's 89 foot-pounds on your shoulder. So even though it has 2 barrels, a gentleman that we were talking to earlier said probably the first shot's the only accurate one you're going to get out of it.
So this will 8,900 foot-pounds. Now I heard that it was kind of akin to being hit by a Ford F-150 at about 20 miles an hour.
And nobody wants that.
No, not really. And as you said, the second one you're kind of shooting up into the sky as you're laying on your back. There's one other. Let's go over here because you pointed this one out, and this is the one that, everybody knows this person's name, and this is his actual sidearm right here. You know that name right there, Jesse James, the one in the back here.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, the neat thing about this is, again, the serial numbers of these show the record of possession through court cases and other documents. So it's kind of neat that we can have this and know for a fact that this belonged to Jesse James. He had it in his possession.
There is no guesswork involved with this kind of thing.
Correct.
Tell people when they can, come to the museum, when you're open here.
So the museum is open the same as store hours. We're 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday during the winter, and then from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays.
Okay, if people want, information about the museum, kind of want to see what you have to offer here, and believe me, it is a ton of things. There's a beautiful display right over there, a 21-gun salute, our military weapons throughout history. How do they get this information?
So there's a little bit of information on our website about the museum. The NRA has a website as well, but the best way is to come on in.
All right.
We'd love to see them.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
The NRA Sporting Arms Museum right here at Bass Pro Shops. You want to check this out. It's an incredible museum. Back to you.
Very impressive indeed, Tom. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, up next, it's time for